In last lecture, we have discussed what is state space representation of a AI problem, and we have discussed the common steps, general steps which are followed while developing an AI system. So, in those four steps, first step was defining your problem in state space representation format, so that you will be able to represent problem into the computer representable form, so that you can program it on computer. And after that, other important aspects are there, like you will have to find out important knowledge which is required for solving that problem, its representation, appropriate AI technique, right, and set of rules. So in these four steps, we have discussed how to represent the problem, that is first step, in state space representation form, so that later on we can convert that into the program and you will get solution to the AI problem. Today we are going to continue further. We are going to use this state space representation for solving AI problem by using appropriate AI technique like search technique. So today we are going to discuss one category of search technique called as uninformed search technique or blind search technique. So three algorithms we are going to discuss which you can use for solving AI problem. Before that, let us first understand how these search techniques they are related with what we have discussed in the last class. In last class, I told you that most of the AI problems, these problems you can solve by representing that in state space representation format. So, state space representation that we have discussed in the last class, that is the starting point for many of the AI problems. Now, in this state space representation, we define problem in the form of a state. Now this state changes with respect to time. So while defining this state, you define it in such a way that that will include or that will incorporate the parameters which are changing with respect to time. The parameters which are not changing with respect to time, you need not have to include that in your state representation. So once you have state representation, this state representation will help you to represent your problem on computer. So or in the form of computer program. So it might be or it may be a data structure, user defined data structure or system defined data structure, which will help you directly represent that particular problem situation which is changing over a period of time on computer. So once we have this, we have seen that problem solving means converting your initial state, for example if S0 is the initial state, into some final state, for example SF is the final state. So this final state, we have seen that that is a solution to the problem. So you may have one or more final state for a given problem, one or more solutions for the given problem. Similarly, this S0, you can call that as a starting state from where your problem solving process may start. So for a given problem, you may have more than one starting state. So problem solving means converting this S0 into one of the SF, that is final state. So during this process you may get certain set of intermediate states, for example S1, S2, S3 and so on. So ultimately your objective is to convert this S0 into SF, but to convert this S0 into SF you have set of rules which you will have to follow while solving these problems, and these rules are problem dependent rules. So you are starting with S0, you will be finding out appropriate rule which can be applied on that S0. So that will give you some other state. For example, you got state S1. you check whether this S1 is a goal state or final state or solution state. If it is not, you find out another rule which can be applied on this S1. You convert that into the new state. So that gets converted into new state. For example, new state is S2. You are going to check whether this S2 is a goal state or not. If S2 is a goal state, then you are going to stop and return that as a solution. If that is not the case, same process you will be repeating. You will be finding out another appropriate rule which can be applied on the state S2. So this process will go on till you reach to the solution. Now during this process, you might have observed that this process will generate a tree, something like that, which will start from your starting state, and intermediate states will be generated, and ultimately that will lead to some final state or final states. So since this is a tree, now you can visualize this process as a search process. While solving this problem, ultimately you will be implementing a search program. So what that search program will do, that search program will start with starting state, and then it will check is it a goal. If no, it will find out a rule, appropriate rule, apply on that. That will generate a next state. Again you are going to check is it a goal. If yes, return that as a solution. Otherwise that will generate another new state, and every time you are checking whether that state is a goal state or not. But here you come back to the starting state. There might be a case when you start with starting state, for example as 0, there may be more than one rule. For example, rule number 1 you can apply, or another rule, rule number 2, which you can apply on the current state S0. So if you apply rule number 1, for example, you get state S1. If you apply rule number 2, you may get state S2. So you will find out, now it's up to you whether to select R1 or R2. Or if the complete state space is explored, then you may start with S0 and then you will visit S1, and then again you will apply rule number 2, and then that will generate S2. Then check whether S2 is a goal state or not. Then again explore X1, explore S2, and that will generate their children, and go on finding out whether the generated node is a goal node or not during every step. So depending upon how you are going to find out the solution in this state space tree, that will lead to the specific search technique that you are going to use. So ultimately, whatever we have discussed in the last class, that is state space representation or state space tree, to find out solution from that state space tree, you will be using appropriate search technique uh, for returning the solution path or solution state, right? Any difficulty up to this?
Yes, sir.
So that is the importance of state space representation. So uh, when I draw a circle in a state space tree, what this circle represents? Yes, anybody? In a state space tree,
State.
now,
State.
right, correct. This circle represents a state. For example, if it's a water jug problem, then what will be the starting state? What this circle will represent if both jugs are empty?
0,
Correct. Ordered pair 0, 0. This circle will represent ordered pair 0, 0. So that is a starting state. Very correct. So again continue with water jug problem. Now two rules can be applied from the starting state. Fill 4-gallon jug. So that will give you 4, 0. And another rule you can apply, that is fill 3-gallon jug. So that will generate 0, 3. So if you apply rule number 1, that will generate 4, 0. If you apply rule number 2, that will generate 0, 3. Right? Is it right?
yes.
So in this way you are going to generate the states, and that will generate a complete state space tree. Now, while solving a problem, such a problems which can be represented in state space form, uh, how you are going to proceed to reach to the goal node or solution state, that will be decided by the search technique that you will be using. Therefore, today we will be discussing one class of search techniques which you can use for solving state space representation problems. So we will start with depth first search. DFS stands for depth first search. Then we will discuss breadth first search, and then variation of this, that is iterative deepening depth first search. Any difficulty up to this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So we will move further. We will start with one of the strategy called as depth first search strategy or DFS strategy. How to use this strategy for solving AI problems. Now let us first study this particular diagram, which tells you classification of the search techniques that we are going to discuss in artificial intelligence. This set of search techniques, it's not complete, but these techniques or most of these techniques that we are going to study in our fundamental course, these are here I have put in the diagram, and uh, you will find out if you read this carefully. All search algorithms I have classified into two classes. One class is uninformed search algorithms and second class is informed search algorithms. Now, today we are going to discuss uninformed search algorithms, which are also called as blind search algorithms. And later on, in later units, we will be discussing informed search algorithms. They are also called as heuristic search algorithms. So today, basically, we will concentrate on this. Now, before going further, let us find out why we call the search techniques, or we have divided that into the two major classes, uninformed search and informed search. As the name suggests, uninformed search does not use any information to carry out the search. So this category of search, they do not use any heuristic. So no heuristic is used. So that means no information is used. What is meaning of this? No information is used to carry out the search in uninformed search algorithms. So without using information, how search is carried out, we will see that afterwards. We have to choose a particular strategy mechanically, and that will be used to reach to the solution. So uninformed search means no information will be used to carry out the search, no heuristic is used. But come to the second category of search techniques. Later on we are going to discuss them after this unit 2. These are, we are calling them informed search algorithms or heuristic search algorithms. So naturally that means these search techniques, they use information to carry out the search. They use some kind of information depending upon the problem to carry out the search, or you may say that they use knowledge to carry out the search. Now what is information, what is difference between information and knowledge? Yes, anybody? There is a difference between data, information and knowledge. Yes, pardon? Difference between information and knowledge? Basically,
Information.
Okay, there is a bandwidth problem. Okay, I will explain. Information is refined form of data. So basically we store data in computer. If you refine it, so refined version is information and refined form of information is knowledge. Size of data is more. For same data you will have information whose size will be less, and for same information corresponding knowledge its size will be even lesser. So therefore to understand this difference we use this pyramid diagram. In this pyramid diagram at the bottom we have data, then above that we have information, and above that we have knowledge. So data is the foundation, information is based on data, knowledge is based on information. Size of data is more, so if you compare that in terms of size, so uh, size increases as you go down from knowledge to data. So refined form of data is information, refined form of information is your knowledge. We store knowledge in the brain, computer stores data into the memory, or you can convert that data in information form. So such a information is used to carry out search in informed search algorithms, and that is called as heuristic. It is, we call that as heuristic. And heuristic, you may say that it's, what is heuristic? It's a rule of thumb. Heuristic is rule of thumb. Later on we are going to discuss this. Rule of thumb means you will find out a technique which is successful most of the time. Sometimes it may fail. That is what heuristic is, or rule of thumb is. So this part we will be discussing afterwards. Today we will be discussing the uninformed search techniques, and these uninformed search techniques are also called as blind search techniques. Right? Why blind? Because blindly search moves from starting state to the goal state. So blind search technique, again you will find out they can be classified into two parts: depth first search and breadth first search. So two types of blind search techniques. Some of you might be knowing this before, that DFS and breadth first search, that is BFS. Then modified version of this depth. Modified version of depth first search is your iterative deepening depth first search. So this is also called as DFID algorithm. So today we will be discussing all these three techniques: DFS, BFS, and iterative deepening depth first search algorithm. So we'll start with DFS, depth first search technique. Any difficulty up to this?
खरंच पागल आहे कसं आहे काय माहिती. तुला काम सांगणं बेहतर आहे रे बापा. हा
Switch off your microphones. Any difficulty up to this?
No, sir.
ना मम्मीला तर विचारला तू का.
Whose microphone is on? Ask her to switch off microphone. Harshal? Harshal?
Yes, sir.
कोणाचा मायक्रोफोन चालू आहे बघ?
आय थिंक सर हर्षदा वाणीचा चालू होता.
सांग तिला म्हणा बंद कर मायक्रोफोन. So if there is no difficulty, we will move further. So we'll start with depth first search algorithm. Now as the name suggests, depth first search moves along with the depth of the search tree. So always now we will assume that whenever we are going to discuss these search techniques, you are going to start with some starting state S0, and then search tree will be generated, and based on the type kind of search technique you will be visiting the nodes until you reach to the goal node. So depth first search, as the name suggests, that will move along with the depth of the search tree in this way. So although there are other nodes, for example, two rules can be applied in water jug problem, R1 and R2 initially from state S0. So what depth first search will do? Depth first search will move along with the depth of the search tree. So you are going to start with state 0, 0 and then apply rule number 1 or rule number 2. If you apply rule number 1, then that will generate a next state. Check, is it a goal state? If no, explore it. So apply the set of rules which can be applied on this. Suppose two rules can be applied, R3 and R4. So only move along with the depth of the search tree. Check whether this R3 is a goal or not. If no, explore it further. Again it will generate the children, and then take the leftmost node, check the leftmost node, and if it's a dead end, then you have to go back and check the rightmost node. So this is how the depth first search algorithm works. So we will see its basic functioning. This strategy extends the current path as far as possible before backtracking. So as we have seen that current path is explored as far as possible without backtracking. Now after this, if it is not possible to move further, then you have to backtrack and find out whether this rightmost node is a goal node or not. So this DFS extends the current path as far as possible before backtracking to the last choice point and trying the next alternative path. This is what depth first search algorithm is, right? So what we do out here, we visit nodes along with the depth of the search tree, as we have seen. What you are going to do? You are going to visit nodes along with the depth of the search tree. Now let us analyze this particular search strategy. This reaches a satisfactory solution if you see the search strategy, study it, more rapidly than breadth first search in some cases, not always. If you compare that with breadth first search, this is an advantage when search space is very large. So again, there are certain conditions when the search strategy depth first search will be better than breadth first search. If your search space is large search space, that means branching factor is high. For example, something like this. If this is the search space, then you will find out, suppose by chance your solution is somewhere here, this is the goal node, one of the goal node. So how depth first search will move? Let us trace functioning of depth first search algorithm on this search space. You are going to start with the starting node, right? Then you are going to explore it. Then it would have explored all these nodes. Then you are going to check the leftmost node or rightmost. Suppose always I will be selecting leftmost node. Then from the starting node, I will check whether this node is a goal node or not. Then I will check this node. Now since it's not a goal node, explore it. It will explore all these three nodes. Then check this leftmost node first. Is it a goal? Suppose no. Then you backtrack to the last point and move to this node. And now this node is the goal node, so algorithm will terminate. So this is little bit larger search space, so you will find out algorithm has returned the solution quickly. If you compare that with other search algorithm like breadth first search algorithm, which moves along with the breadth of a search tree. So that's why here we are saying that it returns the satisfactory solution more rapidly than breadth first search when your search space is large search space. Understood?
Yes,
Functioning of
sir.
breadth first search.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us see example now. Now suppose this is a search tree. Already I have explored it. and I found that there are three rules can be applied from the starting state A. A is the starting state in this search tree. Now, from the problem domain, it is found that three rules can be applied on this current state. You recall the example of water jug problem. How many rules can be applied from the current state, initial state S0? Two rules can be applied. That is, one rule is if both jugs are empty, that is your starting state. If 0 0 is your starting state, so either you can apply a rule that fill 4-gallon jug, that is 40 you will get, or you can apply another rule. Only two possibilities are there, that is fill 3-gallon jug, right? So in this case, there are three possibilities, three rules can be applied. So if you apply rule R1, then you get B. If you apply rule R2, you get C. And if you apply rule R3, you get D. So therefore, three children. And after B, again three rules can be applied. After C, only one rule. So don't worry about this. This is the search tree given to you. Now, what we will have to do, you will have to understand functioning of depth first search. Now, depth first search moves along with the depth of a search tree. So you are going to start with node A. A is the starting node. Is it a goal node? Now goal node is, suppose goal node is G, that is given to you. Goal node is G. G is the goal that you have to search. So start with A. How algorithm will move? You check whether this A is a goal node or not. No, A is not a goal node. So algorithm will explore this A, right? So we will draw a search tree here. A is not a goal node, so a algorithm will explore A, so it will generate its children. Three children are there, B, C and D. Now since it's the depth first search, you are going to move along with the depth of a search tree. So you are going to check the leftmost node first or rightmost. Suppose we follow the strategy that we are going to check always leftmost node first. So you are going to check whether this B is a goal node. Is it a goal?
No.
No.
No. So what will
No,
be the
sir.
next step now?
Explode B.
Right, explore B. So find out how many rules you can apply on this current state B. Suppose, since this is given to us, B, from B you have three options. One is E, F and G. E, F and G. Three rules can be applied. So what will be the next node that will be checked?
E.
E.
No? E,
Leftmost.
correct. Node E. Leftmost node is E. So you are going to check, algorithm will check E. Is it a goal? No. So what algorithm will do? Algorithm will backtrack to
F.
B, correct, and then move to F, right? So F is the goal? No. So again it will
No.
backtrack and it will move to the node G,
G.
right? So uh, we will trace the solution path now. We have started with A, then visited B, then visited E, F and G. So G is a goal node. So algorithm will terminate and return the solution. So solution path is, yes, what will be the solution path? Now we will write here
A,
solution.
B, E, F,
A,
G.
B, E, F, G.
Uh, you have to be careful about this. Solution path will be, let me use some other color. A, B and G. Solution path is A, B and G. But the order in which you have visited nodes, that is, just now you told me, the order in which you have visited nodes, that order is now A,
A, B, E, F, G. B.
B, E, F and G. A, B, E, F and G. This is the order in which algorithm has visited the nodes, but the solution path is A, B and G, because ultimately algorithm will return the solution that you first visit A, then B and then G. Why you should go from A to B to E, F and G? No, this is the order that your algorithm will check, but as a solution algorithm will return the solution that from A you go to B and from B there is a path to G. So why not to take this path, right? So solution path is A, B, G and order in which nodes are visited A, B, E, F, G. Now why this order is important? The order is this is of this is related with your time taken by your algorithm, right? So this is related with time complexity. With this you will be able to find out time complexity of the algorithm, because that will decide how much time your algorithm will take to reach to the goal. Are you getting? Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
If algorithm requires more nodes to visit before reaching the goal, it will take more time. So time complexity of this algorithm or this situation particularly, that will be dependent on the order or how many nodes you visit, or order in which you are going to visit the node. Specifically, how many nodes you will have to visit to reach to the goal. Similarly, that will be associated with space complexity also, because during this execution you will have to find out how much memory space algorithm will take. We'll come to that. Uh, Suppose now let us take another example. Your goal node is node H. No, let us take D. Goal is node D. Then trace execution of this algorithm. What is goal now? Yes,
D.
D, na? Okay. Let us make D as a goal node. So let us trace execution of this depth first search algorithm on this search space. You are going to start with A. A is not a goal, so you are going to explore it. That will generate B, C, and D. B, C, and D. Leftmost node we are going to consider B. Check, is it a goal? No. Explore it. It will generate E, F and G. Now you are going to check leftmost node first. E, is it a goal? No. Then F, then G. Again not. Backtrack further to the last point. Again go back, and then you are going to reach to node C. Is it a goal? No. Explore it. It will generate node H. Uh, is it a goal? No. Go back. Go back. Then there is a node D. Check, is it a goal? Yes. So algorithm will terminate here. So what is the solution path?
AD.
A,
AD.
B,
A
AD.
D is a solution path. So from A there is a path to D. So naturally solution path is AD. And what is the order in which nodes are visited?
A, B, E, F, G, E, H, D.
Right. A, B, E, F, yes, G,
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 B,
C,
C,
H,
H,
and D. So all
D.
nodes. So the order is A, B, E, F, G, H, sorry, G, Yes, after G,
C,
C,
C, H,
C,
H,
D.
and then D. So this algorithm has to visit how many nodes to reach to the goal node? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Total 8 nodes algorithm visited to find out the solution, but solution path is ED. So understood functioning of depth first search algorithm.
yes, sir.
Sure.
Now this is the
Yes,
situation.
sir.
Remember, when your search space is in the form of tree. This is very important. If it's a tree, then this is how your algorithm will function. But if it's a graph, then when this will become a graph? In case of water jug problem, for example, now starting state is suppose 0 0 in case of water jug problem. Then you have 4 0 and 0 3. From 4 0 you can have 4 3, or yes, another possibility 1 3, pour water from 4 gallon jug to 3 gallon jug till it fills. And another possibility is also there that I ignored last time. What was that? 0
Zero,
0.
zero.
Again 0 0. How you will get 0 0 from 4 0? If you empty this 4 gallon jug, right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Ah. So you will find out this 0 0 is here also. So there is a path. Therefore, if you draw this, this is something like this. And these two are same, so they are connected. Both the states are same, 0 0. Is it? So there is a loop. There is a loop here. Uh, from 4 0, again you are connecting that to 0 0. That means, so there is a cycle. There might be a case after some state, for example 1 3 state, you may again connect that to 0 0, can be the next state. So you will find out that will generate a graph. So if it's a graph, in that particular case you will have to little bit modify your algorithm. So take that as a homework. Now whatever algorithm we have discussed, this algorithm, uh, I will come to that. This algorithm works on three kind of search space, but if your search space is a graph search space, little bit you will have to modify the algorithm. So after understanding working of this algorithm, let us put this algorithm in put this procedure in algorithmic form. So we will start with initial node, put the initial node S on list, and we are going to call that as a list. List is a name of a data structure that we are going to use. So starting node S we have put on the list. If this list is empty, or if this S itself is a goal, then terminate the search, right? If your initial state itself is a goal node, then you will have to terminate the search. Another possibility is if there is no starting node, or if list is empty, after some time you may find out the list is empty, then you will have to terminate the search. Third step, remove first node from the list and call this node as a node D. So let us understand that in graphical form. Suppose starting node S, there is a list. Put this S on list. Now list is not empty and S is not a goal node. So algorithm will move to the third step. Remove first node from the list. So I will remove this S from this. What to do? Call this node as D. I will call this S as D. If D is a goal, terminate with success. Right? Uh, Sometimes that might be possible afterwards. Otherwise, else, if D has successors, generate all the successors. Now D means what? S. If it has successors, generate all the successors. For example, successors are A, B and C. Generate all of them, add them at the beginning of list. So we will add this to the list. S already we have removed. Now go to the step 2. Again come here. List, is it empty? No. Right? Uh, no question of S. Remove first node from the list. So first node is A. Remove it. Call it D. Now I will call this A as D. If D is a goal, check, that means whether this A is a goal node, D is a goal. If no, and if D has successors, generate all of them. Now we have removed A, called at D, and D is not a goal, that means A is not a goal, so generate its successors. Suppose there are two successor nodes, D and E. Add them at the beginning of list. So I will put them here, D and E on this list. Again go to step 2. List is not empty. Remove the first node. So D I am going to remove. Now by chance the names are same. I should not have taken D there. Okay, let it be. So D, check, is it a goal node? No. Explore this D, so that will generate its successor. But if there are no successors, what will happen? You are going to check node E, because E will be the first node. Remove first node from the list. So E, is it a goal? If no, explore it. Suppose after exploring it, the next node is F. What we have to do with this F? Put them at the beginning of the list. So F will be here. Then from E, you are going to check F. So you will find out that how you have moved from S to A to D, from D to E, E to F. In this way, you are moving, and algorithm is functioning like the procedure that just now we have discussed. So what is important here? Let us summarize in this algorithm that you have used a list kind of data structure, and you are putting elements at the front of that list, at the beginning of the list, and then you are checking every time the first node is a goal node or not. So what is this data structure? The nodes, generated nodes, you are putting at the beginning of that list, right? And first node always you are checking. So what kind of data structure it is?
Stack.
Correct.
Stack.
So this list, that means you will have to implement as a stack. Implement this as a stack, right? Therefore, this depth first search algorithm uses a stack, right? This functioning is very similar to the functioning of stack. So directly stack you will have to implement out here. ठीक है. So let us summarize algorithm again. You are starting with starting node S. Then you are going to check is it a goal? If no, remove the first node from the list. Initially only S will be there. Otherwise other nodes may be there. So first node you will have to remove. Check is it a goal? If no, explore it, generate all the successor, add them to the beginning of list every time, so that always you will be moving along with the depth of the search tree, and you are going to repeat this until the list is empty. Two possibilities are there: until the list is empty or you reach to the goal. If you reach to the goal, what is the meaning of that? That you found the solution, so return the solution path, right? Terminate the search. If list is empty, that means what is meaning of this?
No successor.
Search is not
Not
successful. That means the goal that you are searching is not present. So this is a failure case. If list is empty, that means algorithm failed to find out the solution. So there does not exist the solution. That might be the case. The thing that you are searching is not present here. So that is that empty case. If list is empty, then algorithm will terminate and it will return the failure in that case. Okay, understood? Any difficulty up to this?
no, sir.
Simple algorithm, but you will have to think of implementing this algorithm for solving now water jug problem. In Python, suppose you are implementing water jug problem, then how you are going to do that with depth first search algorithm? Just think of about this implementation afterwards. Now let us try to analyze this algorithm along with the four parameters that we have discussed in the first class, earlier class. What will be the time complexity of this algorithm now? Depth first search. Time complexity of this algorithm is order of b raised to m, where this b is what? Branching factor. B is what? Branching factor. So that will tell you what is the breadth of the search tree. And m is what? The depth at which you have found the solution. M is what? Depth. Where you found the solution, right? That is implicit here. For example, if I draw a tree, something like this, what is the branching factor out here? What is B? That means how many children are there for each node. So what is branching factor B?
2.
Correct. So B is in this case 2, because every node has 2 children. So therefore branching factor is 2. And suppose this is a goal node. So what is M in this case? The depth at which solution is found is 2.
2.
Right? 2. 1, 2. 2 is the depth. But had it been the case something like this, that instead of this, if solution is somewhere here, then what would have been? M depth will be 2 in this.
3.
M is, sorry, 3.
3.
In this case M is 3. So this is what B and M means. So B is branching factor and M is depth at which solution is found. So depth first search, since it moves along with the depth of the search tree, so time complexity depends on B raised to M. So we are considering this average case time complexity. But in best case, you may find out that, for example, if this is the part of your search tree and if this is a goal node, So you will get solution quickly, right? Immediately you will get a solution without exploring further nodes. For example, it may be something like this. So only this much tree you will have to explore and algorithm will return the solution immediately. But in worst case, suppose uh, consider the case something like this. Simple search space consisting of very few nodes we will consider. So consider the possibilities. Suppose your goal node is somewhere here. This is one of the goal, G1. So DFS will find out solution quickly. It will move from this S to this node and then immediately it will come to G1, right? So in best case, you will get solution immediately. But suppose another solution G2 is present somewhere here. So how algorithm will return this solution? How many nodes algorithm has to visit?
It
All nodes algorithm will be visiting. How? Because let us complete that. You are going to start with this node S, then it will visit this node, then come here, then this node, then it will visit this, and finally it will visit this G2, right? So therefore algorithm has to visit all the nodes if your solution is somewhere here, and if you are considering leftmost node always first. So in worst case algorithm has to visit all the nodes in depth first search. In best case, very few nodes algorithm will visit. So basically, if you mathematically solve this, if branching factor B, you assume that this B is suppose 2 on an average, and M is the depth at which you have found the solution, then time complexity will be B raised to M.
mm,
Average case we are considering. Then what about the space? Okay, before that, did you realize, or you might have discussed this in algorithms also, how to calculate this? For example, now if branching factor B is equal to 2, then how many nodes algorithm has visited? See here, at this level 1, next level 2, next level 4. If there is another level, then how many nodes will be there?
8.
8. So this is 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 and so on like this. So this is equivalent to 1 plus 2 plus 2 raised to 2 plus 2 raised to 3, right? Plus 2 raised to 4. Now what is 2 here? 2 is branching factor B, and uh, suppose if your solution is at depth 4, then this will be B raised to M will be 4 in that case. So this is equivalent to B raised to M. So, sum of series, if you approximate this series, right? So this series has become 1 plus B raised to 2 plus B raised to 3 and so on. Right this? Are you getting? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
yes,
Yes,
So
sir.
sir.
if you approximate this, that will come out to B raised to M. Therefore, uh, time complexity is D raised to M. So we will not go into the detail of that. That's why the complexity is b raised to m, and space complexity is b multiplied by m. Now, how to find out space complexity? Space complexity refers to how many nodes, maximum number of nodes you will have to store in the memory during execution of the algorithm. So you will find out at any time t, maximum number of nodes you will be storing in the memory, that will be b multiplied by m. Suppose b is dancing factor, b is 2. If suppose b is equal to 2 and m is equal to 3 suppose, so 2 multiplied by 3, that means maximum 6 nodes you will have to store at any time in the memory. So your search tree will look like this. M is equal to 3, na? So again one more level. So you will be removing nodes also during the execution. So although there are more nodes, but on the memory, at most there will be 6 nodes. So that much memory is required, because other nodes, if you find out it's not a goal, then you are removing it. So maximum 6 nodes will be there in a particular situation. So therefore space complexity is b multiplied by m. Is it optimal algorithm? What is meaning of optimality? Does it give you least cost solution if it exists? Now it's a little bit tricky evaluation. If you see, initially we get an impression that it always gives the best solution. For example, suppose uh, your solution node is here. Goal node is one of the goal node is here. So what is the solution path? This is the solution path, right? Let us name the nodes S, A, B and G1. So solution path is S, A, B and G1. Suppose there is one more solution and that is somewhere here, G2. So which solution is better? Path to G1 or G2?
G2.
Right.
G2.
G2 is better. Why? Because this is a least cost path. This is nearer. G2 is nearer to S as compared to G1. So this solution is better. But depth first search algorithm will return this as a solution. First, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
So since algorithm does not give you least cost solution always, algorithm is not optimal. So therefore we have written it's not optimal. Is it complete? Completeness refers to what? Completeness property refers to uh, whether algorithm will give you the solution, or it guaranteedly gives you the solution if it exists. So does it give you guarantee that it will return the solution if it exists? Again, little bit thinking is required out here. Uh, Initially we get an impression that algorithm is complete. If there is a solution, always it will return the solution, but it's not the case. Consider this situation. Suppose part of the search tree I am drawing, and suppose this depth of the search tree is infinite. it has infinite depth. Then what will happen? Algorithm will go on exploring these nodes. It will never come back. It will never backtrack if the depth of the search tree is infinite, and that is sometimes possible if you are in a cycle or if you are in a loop, and if your algorithm is not able to break that loop, same state you will get again and again after some time, so you will be in a loop, and in that particular case algorithm will never be able to come out of that loop, and it will never return you the solution. So if the search tree depth is infinite, in that particular case algorithm may not return the solution, therefore it is not complete. Understood? Because how depth of the search tree is determined? Because you have to select a rule, right? You select a rule, apply that on the current state, and that generates the next state. So if your rule selection is not appropriate, in that particular case, although your problem is very simple, you may be selecting similar type of rules again and again. You means algorithm might select such a rules, and it will go into the infinite depth, and it will go on moving in that loop infinitely, never come out of that, and you will not get a solution. Although your solution may be somewhere here, this might be your goal node, so it will not reach to that. Therefore, algorithm is not complete. Okay. Any question on
Yes, sir.
this? So if I ask you a question that why this DFS is not optimal, you will be able to explain it clearly. Similarly, why this algorithm is not complete? Because depth is, if the depth is infinite, search tree depth is infinite, in that case, it may not return you the solution. But when search tree depth will be infinite, because if you do not select rules uh, appropriately, then it may go into the loop. Similar state you will get again and again, and algorithm will not be able to break that loop. In that particular case, uh, you may not get the solution. So infinite depth tree is possible for even a simple problem. Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. So what we will do now, after this we will have to discuss advantages and disadvantages of this. We will summarize what we have discussed. So advantage is it requires less storage, linear storage, because b raised to m, b is a branching factor and m is the depth at which you found a solution. So it's a linear storage requirement. Therefore, low storage requirement, and algorithm is easy to program, right? Stack you can use for that purpose. So these are the two major advantages of this depth first search, and disadvantage are it may give you suboptimal solution. Suboptimal solution in a case, just now I explained you. Uh, for example, suppose somewhere is one of the goal and another goal somewhere here G2. Now this is better solution than this, but algorithm will return this G1 as a solution. So therefore we are saying it may find suboptimal solution. Then it is incomplete. Just now we have seen, because without depth bound may not find a solution even if it exists, if depth is infinite. And major drawback is determination of the depth, cutoff depth. Suppose you limit the depth of the search, that is cutoff depth. DFID is example of that. We will modify this. So it's very difficult to determine the depth beforehand until which the search has to proceed, because beforehand you cannot make out what will be the depth of the search tree. So therefore this value of cutoff depth is essential, because otherwise search will go into the infinite loop. So this is the problem with depth first search. So first problem is suboptimal solution it may return. Second, it is incomplete. And third, determination of cutoff depth That is very difficult, and it has two advantages, that it requires low storage requirement, and it is easily programmed. But algorithm may give you solution quickly by chance also, but that depends upon where your goal node is present, right? Any question on depth first search now? This completes discussion on depth first search algorithm. Yes. Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
So after depth first search, uh, another category of search, let us go back. Uninformed search technique is breadth first search algorithm. Okay. So DFS is one of the variation where we have used stack. Now, if your search moves along with the breadth of the search tree instead of moving along with the depth, if you move along with the breadth, then that technique is called as breadth first search technique. And out here, we are going to use queue kind of data structure. So that is the difference between these two. To implement DFS, we use stack, and to implement BFS, we'll be using queue data structure. So as the name suggests, breadth first search is like depth first search, like in a sense, it does not use any information to carry out the search, it moves blindly. But here you are going to move level by level, right? As opposed to in depth first search, we move along with the depth. Here we are going to move along with the levels. So that is the major difference. Here the operator employed to generate all possible children of a node. So for every node, you will have to use a appropriate operator method which will generate all the children of a given node. That means what you will have to do, suppose this is your current node, S3 is the current node, then you will have to find out all rules which can be applied on this S3. So that is equivalent to all children of this S3. So suppose rule 6, rule 9 and rule 11 can be applied on S3. So 3 children will be there for this S3. So such a function we require. We will have a function which will find out all rules which can be applied on the current state. So that's why here we have written that operator employed to generate all possible children of a given node. And it's a brute force search. It generates all the nodes for identifying the goal node. So let us visualize this. If suppose S is a current node, if S is a current node, starting node S, so what breadth first search does? It checks whether it is the goal. If no, it will generate all its successors. So this function will generate that. Suppose successor nodes are A, B and C. Then what algorithm will do? Algorithm will check all these nodes one by one whether there is a solution or not. So it will check A, B and then C. If one of that is a goal node, then algorithm will terminate. If not, then it will explore all the children of all these ABC 3 nodes. So it will explore A, it will explore B as well as it will explore C also. Then one by one it will check all the nodes at this level. If there is no goal node, then again it will move further to the next level. So in this way, breadth first search algorithm works. So it's a brute force approach. Okay. Now let us understand functioning of this algorithm uh, with this example. Suppose this is the search tree given to us, and suppose G is a goal node is G first. Then how this algorithm will find out this goal G? How it will visit the nodes? It will start with node A and it will check whether A is a goal node or not. A is not a goal because G is a goal. Then it will explore this A, generating all its children B, C and D. So initially we visited A. A was not a goal. So generated its successor. Successors are B, C and D. Then it will check one by one all these nodes at this level. B, is it a goal? No. Move C, is it a goal? No. Then it will move to node D. It's not a goal. So it will explore all these three nodes now. So after exploring B, you will get E, F and G. Then it will explore C as well as D. Then it will check E, F and G is a goal. So algorithm will terminate out here. So order in which nodes are visited will be A, B, C, D, E, F and G. So if G is a goal, the order in which nodes are visited will be A, B, C, D, E, F and G. What is the solution path? What will be the solution path?
A, B, G.
Correct. Solution path will be A, B and G. Because G is a goal node. Had it been the case of depth first search, DFS, depth first search, what would have been the order in which nodes are visited? It's same goal G. Yes.
A, B, E, F, G, C.
A, B, E.
E, F, F.
Correct. Correct. Just now we have seen that. And solution path in case of DFS,
Same.
ABG.
same.
Same. Same.
A, B, G. Same solution path algorithm will return, but time required to return the solution will be different in case of BFS and in case of DFS. If you see, compare, DFS has visited less nodes, 5 nodes DFS has visited, but in case of BFS, how many nodes algorithm has visited? 7
7.
nodes.
7. No.
It has visited 7 nodes and out here it has visited 5 nodes. So DFS took less time as compared to BFS because BFS has to move level by level, but solution path returned is same, right? Now it seems that you have understood. Let us try out another example. If your goal node is, suppose, D, just like the previous case, if goal is D, then what is the order in which nodes will be visited in case of breadth first search?
ABC.
A, B,
D.
C,
Okay,
D,
one by one, A, B,
D.
C, C,
C,
D,
D,
D.
right? A, B, C, D. And what is the solution path?
AD.
A,
AD.
D, A,
AD.
D.
Correct. This is the case of BFS. Had it been the case of depth first search, earlier algorithm for same goal, in case of DFS now,
A B E F
A
G
B E F G C H T.
A, B, E, F, G,
F G
C
C
H D.
right,
H G
CHD, correct. And what will be solution path?
Same. A D.
A D C.
Correct. So, even in this case, it will return the same solution path, but number of nodes now visited. In case of BFS, it has visited only 4 nodes. In case of DFS, it has visited 8 nodes, right? If your goal node is node D. So here DFS will take more time as compared to BFS. So
BFS.
ultimately it depends upon where your goal node is present. If your goal node is present at earlier level, then BFS will give you solution quickly, right? But if not the case, then you may find out that DFS has worked better. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So let us put this in algorithmic form. So little bit change we will have to make as compared to the previous algorithm. Let first search here. Step is same, that put initial node on list. If list is empty or S is a goal, terminate the search, same as that of previous algorithm. Remove first node from the list, call it D, same. If D is a goal, terminate, same. Now here there is a change only. Else if that is not a goal, generate all the successors, add them at the end of the list. This is important. You are going to put elements at the end of the list and repeat the 3, 4, 5 steps until you reach to the goal. So again, go to the step 2. For example, suppose S is a goal, A, B and C are successors here. Then here we have F and here we have G. Suppose G is a goal. So how BFS will now work here? This is a list. So start with S, put it on this list. It's not a goal, call it D. Uh, Remove it. Then successor, generated successors. So successors are ABC. Put them at the end. So since there is no node, just ABC will be there out here. Then you are repeating the step. Remove the first node. So first node is A. Remove it. Check is it a goal? No. Generate its successor. Successor are F and G. Put them at the end of the list. So F F G will be here. Then you are going to check B, then C, then F and finally G. So therefore the order will be S, A, B, C, F and G. This is the order in which nodes will be visited. So what is important here, you are going to put the elements at the end of the list as opposed to unlike your depth first search. And therefore what is this data structure now? How to implement this list?
Q.
Right, this is a queue
Q
data structure. So to implement breadth first search, you will have to implement queue. Okay? So let us analyze this as we have done for depth first search. So you will find out time complexity is B raised to D, where B is branching factor as that of previous case. branching factor is not same always, but on an average we will approximate that. So it's an approximation, and D is the depth of the search tree. Right? In earlier case in DFS, M was the depth of a search tree where your solution was found. But here D is a depth of the search tree. So time complexity is similar to DFS, only the change is it is B raised to D, order of B raised to D, where D is the depth of the search tree and B is a branching factor. So same way as I told you, that B we are approximating. Suppose your search tree is something like this. So what is branching factor out here? What is B?
3.
3.
Right, B is 3. Huh? And what is the depth of the search tree?
2.
Depth is 2. So time complexity will be 3 raised to 2,
2.
order of 3 raised to 2. Okay? So that means time will be dependent on breadth of the search tree as well as depth of the search tree, B raised to D. So it's a exponential again, right? So in terms of time, algorithms are not very attractive as such. And this same way you can approximate 1, 3. How many nodes are there at each level? Here there are 9 nodes. Then
27.
right,
20.
27 and so on. So here you will find out this is B raised to 2, B raised to 3 and so on. So 1 plus this series you can approximate, so that will come out to approximation of this will be B raised to D.
D.
Correct. So similarly now find out its space complexity. In terms of space, algorithm requires B raised to D. Space complexity is also B raised to D. Uh, it's not linear. In depth first search it was linear. It has to store all the nodes. For example, if your goal node is here, algorithm will store all the nodes so far in the memory. Therefore, it is not linear, it is exponential in nature. Okay, so it requires more space. It has to store all nodes in the memory. Therefore, its space complexity is B raised to D, because all nodes you need to store on the memory. Is it optimal? Optimality refers to, will it return the least cost solution? It is optimal because if you compare, for example, consider this case. Uh, Suppose this is one of the goal G3 and this is one of the goal G2. Always if your goal is present somewhere at first level, BFS will return that, or somewhere suppose this is one of the goal. So this will be returned by BFS. If G3 is the goal, then it will be returned this, it will return this solution path, right? So always it will return you the least cost solution. Therefore it is optimal algorithm. Understood? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Is it complete? Completeness refers to, does it give you guarantee that it will return the solution if it exists? Yes, always it will return the solution, because just like the previous algorithm DFS, in DFS we saw that it can have infinite depth. But is it possible that any search space will have infinite breadth? That means branching factor is infinite. It is possible. Is it possible that this branching factor is infinite like this? If it is infinite, in that particular case, again algorithm will not be complete. But since it is complete, I have written there, that means branching factor cannot be infinite. But why? Anybody can answer this. Why branching factor cannot be infinite? Hurry up. What what is the factor with which branching factor is related?
Binary tree.
By
Binary trees, sir. Complete.
no, forget about binary tree. How many branches will be there? What will decide that in a search tree?
Parent node.
But how? What will decide that
Rules.
one particular node will have that many children? In
Rules.
right,
Rules.
correct.
State.
Who has answered this rules?
Ankita.
Ankita. Very good. Number of rules decides how many children will be there. For example, uh, for this node, only one child is there. So how search tree has decided that there is only one particular child, because there is only one rule which can be applied on this current state. Had it been the case of 4 children, what is meaning of that? From this node, you can apply 4 rules, and those 4 rules will generate the 4 children, 4 successors. So number of rules decides number of successor nodes, right? And number of rules are finite. In any problem, number of rules are always finite. Number of rules cannot be infinite. Therefore, since number of rules are finite, a search tree will not have infinite breadth, or B will not be infinite. Therefore, algorithm is always give you the solution, and therefore it is complete. Right? This is the answer. Again, I am repeating. Algorithm will always give you the solution, because it moves along with the breadth of a search tree, and breadth is finite, because breadth, number of children, successor nodes of a node, are decided by number of rules which can be applied on that state. So number of rules are always finite for any problem. We cannot have infinite number of rules, and therefore breadth will be finite always, and algorithm will always give you the solution. Therefore algorithm is complete. Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
If you have any question, you can interrupt me in between. Now compare this with DFS. In DFS, time complexity was order of, chalo bolo, B raised to
M.
M,
M.
where B is
M.
branching factor and M is the depth at which solution is found.
Depth of
What was the space complexity in DFS? Order of
BM.
B into
Bm,
M.
where
BM.
that means it is a linear B multiplied by M, where B is branching factor and M is the depth
Depth.
at which solution was found. Was it optimal?
No.
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 Was it
No, sir.
complete?
No.
No.
Right. So this is all about breadth first search. Now both algorithms have some advantages and disadvantages. So let us summarize advantages and disadvantages of this breadth first search. It give you guarantee that it will give you optimal solution. That was not the case in depth first search solution. It gives you the least cost solution. Second advantage is always find a goal node if one exists. That means it is complete. So it gives you the solution. It gives you guarantee that it will return the solution. What are the disadvantages? It requires more space, d raised to d space complexity, so exponential, right? So more space is required. If search space is large, algorithm is not feasible for large search space, right? The searching process remembers all unwanted nodes, which is of no practical use in if you consider that from practical point of view. So it has to store, remember, that means all the nodes. Later on, we don't need those nodes. So these are the disadvantages. Okay. Any
Yes,
question
sir.
up to this? Yes. Any question up to this?
No, sir.
Okay, so
No,
what we
sir.
will do now, both algorithms have advantages and disadvantages. So we will combine both these algorithms together. And if we do that, that gives you another algorithm called as iterative deepening depth first search. So what we will do, we will modify this to the summary. Already we have discussed this. What we will do, depth first search is attractive. In what case? That it takes less memory, right? If memory requirement is less. Breadth first search is attractive because it gives you the optimal solution. So we can combine advantages of both of this. DFS, we know how it functions. It moves along with the depth of a search tree. And problem with DFS is, uh, if depth is infinite, it may not give you the solution. It will be moving in a loop, right? So what we can do, we can remove this disadvantage by limiting the depth of the search tree. In DFS, we keep on moving along with the depth. So what we will do, we will put a constraint that we will limit this depth, and we will execute the algorithm just like that of your depth first search algorithm. And then incrementally we will increase the depth of the search tree one by one. So we will have advantages of BFS as well as DFS. So let us see how this can be done. That algorithm is called as iterative deepening depth first search, DFID, or iterative, that means iteratively, by increasing the depth uh, iteratively, algorithm will work like depth first search only. That's why the name. So come over here. Uh, DFS, it's a variation of DFS. What change we are going to make? Gradually, we will increase the depth limit, uh, but here it will work like a breadth first search also. So that is what this iterative deepening depth first search algorithm is. Let us see few important aspects of this algorithm. It's a hybrid of BFS and DFS. Just now I told you, hybrid of both the algorithms. In DFID, we perform depth first search up to certain limited depth, and then we keep on increasing this limited depth after every iteration until we reach to the goal node, right? So it's a variation of depth limited search. We are not going to discuss this depth limited search, but depth limited search has disadvantages. If solution is not present up to the depth with which you have limited the search, then it may not give you the solution. So this is the better version of that algorithm, that is DFID. So that's why we are discussing directly DFID algorithm. If the lowest depth of the goal tree is not known, what we can do, we can find the best limit by trying all possible depths 0, 1, 2, 3, and stopping once when we reach to the goal node, right? So initially start with some depth, for example depth 0, then depth 1, check whether you get solution or not, then increase the depth again by 1, execute your DFS and repeat this until you reach to the goal node. Now you will find out, initially you get an impression that this appears wasteful because all the depth limited search for or less than goal level are useless and many states are expanded many times. However, you will find out in practice most of the time is spent at the deepest part of the search tree, and I will give you examples to prove this. So the algorithm actually combines benefit of DFS and BFS. What is meaning of this? What algorithm says, you first you make the depth 0 and check whether the goal is reach or not, execute your depth first search. Now if no goal present, explore it to the depth 1, then again execute your BFS algorithm here. If no goal present, then move one level more, right? Then execute BFS. So in this way, now initially we get an impression that we are wasting lot of time every time you are executing BFS, right? But practically you will be able to see that most of the time is spent at the deepest part of the search tree. So algorithm has benefit of DFS as well as BFS. So therefore this algorithm is used when you have goal directed agent in infinite search space. So search space is suppose infinite, in that particular case this algorithm is a better solution. So let us see now how this algorithm will work. Suppose this is the search space, search tree given to you. Suppose G is a goal. Then trace execution of this algorithm. What is the order in which nodes will be visited? Yes. First D will be 0, then D is equal to 1, then D is equal to 2, D is equal to 3. Keep on doing this. So for D is equal to 0, yes, it will visit only one node, that is A. Is it a goal?
A.
Right. No, it's
No.
not a goal. So increase depth by 1. So D is equal to 1. Again, it will work like a BFS algorithm. So the nodes will be visited in this order: A, B, C
B,
and
C, and
D,
D.
or D is equal to 1. Then for D is equal to 2, now we did not get the solution. So increase depth by 1. So D is equal to 2. So how execution will take place? Again A, B,
A, B,
C,
C, D, E, F, G.
G is a goal. So it will terminate there, right? But all nodes will be explored actually, uh, H, I and J. But after that, no further expansion, right? ठीक है ना? So what is the solution path now?
A, B, G, B, G.
Correct. Solution path is A, B and G, right? So this is how this algorithm works. Now let us put that in algorithmic form. What change we will have to make? Iterative deepening. Okay. Here it should be iterative deepening depth first search. Huh? For I is assigned to 0 to infinite, call you depth limited search with depth I. So first depth will be 0, then depth is 1, depth is 2, right? Now what is this depth limited search? Depth limited search will work like your BFS, right? This is your BFS algorithm, BFS. So initially I will be 0, so BFS at level 0 will be executed. Then I will be 1, then for I is equal to 1, on that search space BFS will be executed. Actually this is called as depth limited search, right? This is DLS. So in this way algorithm continues until you reach to the goal. Simple modification you will have to make. Let us analyze this. What is time complexity? B raised to D. Space complexity BD. Linear, now this is linear in this case. Algorithm will give you the least cost solution, so it is optimal as well as it is complete. So it has advantages of DFS as well as BFS. Now let us uh, compare DFID with DFS. DFID is optimal uninformed search both in time and space. Huh? Now I will show you video which will compare DFS and DFID. In first video what we will see, DFID approach, we can find the goal much faster. Remember this. In first video you will see that DFID will find out goal much faster because it doesn't spend time searching any deeper than the goal. Right? Once the goal is reached, it need not have to go further. So let us see the first video. Now here note that red line will denote DFID and green line will denote execution of DFS algorithm. ठीक है? Are you able to see?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So note that green and red lines, how the execution is taking place and which one will be executed first. See here, green has already got the solution, but red is still continuing. Green has reached to the solution faster. What is green line indicating out there?
DFS.
DFS.
Green.
DFID.
DFID.
ID.
Green line indicates
DFS.
DFS and red line indicates DFID. The first video it was showing breadth B is equal to 2 and goal is in the lower right corner. Where goal was there? Lower right corner, and breadth is branching factor is what is B here? Branching factor or something else? Anybody notice?
Branching factor.
Branching factor, is it a branching factor or something else?
Branching factor.
No. Any other answer?
Branching element.
No. Again go back. The larger the branching factor, smaller the overhead of iterative deepening. Okay, let us for b is equal to 3, then we will see whether you will be able to identify it. For b is equal to 3, now compare DFID with DFS. 3 means, now see, every node has 3 children, so it is branching factor. You told it right. Your answer was correct. So here b is equal to 3. Now let us compare execution of both the algorithms. Again I am repeating, here b is equal to 3. So again green has finished first. So let us observe the functioning of both the algorithms. Now if b is equal to 4, branching factor we have increased by 1 again. Now goal is at the right corner. Again green has finished first. Goal is at the right corner, right bottom corner. Now consider b is equal to 4, but goal is shallow goal. Somewhere here your goal is a shallow goal. Then let us check out execution of DFID and DFS. See, red has finished first, right? So what
Yes,
is
sir.
meaning of this? If it depends upon where your goal is present. If goal is shallow, then DFID has finished it faster as compared to DFS, and that is natural. Am I right? Again, I am
Yes, sir.
Yes,
repeating.
sir.
Your goal is here,
Yeah.
shallow goal we will say. So DFID has finished it first because you have limited the depth, and your DFS is still continuing because it has to go through the complete depth of the search tree. So if shallow goal is present, then DFID performs better, right? Uh, Another variation, if depth is equal to 5, sorry, B is equal to 5, then check execution of both DFS and DFID. Again goal is at the right bottom corner. We are running out of time. Let within 5 minutes we will finish. So since branching factor is 5 now, it's taking more time. Again, DFS has finished faster. Because DFID has to iteratively go through all the levels. If branching factor is 6, then let us check out. Again, branching factor we have increased by 1. So let us see who finishes first. DFS again has finished first, right? Then if branching factor B is 7, then B is equal to 7 here. So DFS has finished again first. Then B is equal to 8. Goal is at right corner, right bottom corner. We are increasing branching factor. Now B is equal to 8. So for B is equal to 8, again DFS has finished first. But now both are coming closer. For B is equal to 9, B is equal to 9, that means every node has 9 children. So now since branching factor has increased by 1, it will take little bit considerable amount of time. So again DFS has finished first and closely followed by DFID algorithm, right? So if goal is shallow, then DFID returns you the solution faster as compared to DFS, but otherwise DFS finishes it faster. So let us summarize advantages of DFID. It requires low storage, linear with tree depth. It is optimal, and it is its advantages and disadvantages of iterative deepening depth first search. As we have seen that storage requirement is linear, so low storage requirement, that is B multiplied by D. It is optimal, always that gives you the optimal solution because it combines the advantages of depth first search along with depth first search, and it is complete. The problem with depth first search was for infinite depth. It used to uh, encounter the cycle, and because of that algorithm was not able to return the solution, so it was incomplete. But since we have limited the depth, therefore iterative deepening depth first search is complete algorithm. Now let us come to the other side, disadvantages of this algorithm. As we have seen, the time taken is exponential, that is exponential time complexity to reach the goal node, B raised to D. The main problem with this algorithm DFID or ID DFS also you can call it, is time and wasted calculations that takes place at each depth. So incrementally you are increasing depth, and at every iteration you are exploring complete subtree. So that is the other problem. But as we have seen in the previous example, the situation is not that bad. Uh, as we have seen that when the branching factor is high, that is as good as your depth first search. So therefore, uh, this depth first iterative deepening, depth first search, we can say that it is a solution co- which combines advantages of both breadth first search and depth first search. So thank you, and in the next class then we are going to start unit 3, that is on heuristic search algorithms, and now we will stop here, join for the next lecture. Thank you. Algorithm, right? So if goal is shallow, then DFID returns you the solution faster as compared to DFS, but otherwise DFS finishes it faster. So let us summarize.